While most people were glued to the World Cup final between Spain and Argentina yesterday, Matt Armstrong quietly dropped a new video. Which means there's a good chance a lot of you didn't get around to watching it until much later. At first glance, it looks like a simple update video. No big rebuild breakthrough, no shocking reveal, no single dramatic moment designed to take over the automotive world. But the longer I watched, the more I realized just how much was actually packed into it. Because tucked inside this quiet update were fresh developments on some of the biggest projects we've all been following. The GT3 RS moved another step closer to getting its factory backing. The Bugatti Veyron is still waiting for its next chapter. And Alex's Chiron keeps inching toward one of the most talked about reveals in the automotive world right now. So before we get into all of that, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on, because the Veyron, the Chiron, and the GT3 RS are all approaching major moments, and you won't want to miss what happens next. But honestly, what really caught my attention wasn't any of the cars. It was a project sitting right outside Matt's house. For the last couple of years, a large chunk of his property has basically been sitting empty. Long before Matt bought the place, it was used as a horse training arena. Since then, it's mostly just been dead space waiting for a purpose. Over time, a few ideas got floated. A skate park, a go-kart track, a couple of others, but none of them made it past the discussion stage. In the end, Matt went with something a lot more practical, a multi-sport court. Now, I know that's probably not why most people clicked on this video. Matt's channel is known for rebuilding supercars and hypercars, not backyard construction projects. But this section ended up being far more interesting than I expected. The whole area has been completely transformed, the old surface ripped out, new foundations poured, fresh fencing put up, and floodlights added so the court can be used day or night. What really stands out is just how different the space feels now compared to what it used to be. An unused corner of the property has suddenly become one of the most functional parts of the whole house. What I appreciated was that even a simple project like this ran into its own hiccups. After the court lines were painted, something looked off. The tennis markings blended into the surface while the football lines stood out way more than they should have. The team could have just left it and moved on, but they didn't. Everything got repainted until it looked right. That small detail says a lot about how Matt approaches his projects. If something's not right, it gets fixed properly instead of ignored. Standing on the finished court, Matt reflected on something that probably hit home for a lot of viewers. 6 years ago, he left his job to focus on YouTube full-time. At the time, there was no guarantee any of this would work out. No guarantee there'd be a workshop, no guarantee there'd be Bugatti rebuilds, no guarantee there'd be a team, and absolutely no guarantee there'd one day be a custom sports court in his back garden. It's easy to look at where someone is now and forget how much uncertainty existed at the start. Most people only see the finished result, not the years of risk that came before it. That's why this part of the video stuck with me. The court itself looks great, but it's also a reminder that success is usually built one step at a time, not all at once. And speaking of long-term projects, that brings us to the one a lot of viewers are still waiting on, the Bugatti Veyron. There wasn't a major Veyron update in this particular video, but Matt did remind everyone that the project is still very much alive and moving toward its next chapter. And honestly, even that small mention got me thinking. Not that long ago, a lot of people assumed rebuilding a crashed Veyron outside the official Bugatti network simply wasn't possible. Every stage of the project seemed to bring a new obstacle, parts that were nearly impossible to source, repairs almost nobody had attempted before, and systems so complex that most assumed only Bugatti itself could touch them. And yet, here we are. The conversation isn't really, can this car be rebuilt, anymore? That question's already been answered. Now it's simply, when do we finally get to see it finished? That's a massive shift from where this story began, back when every setback felt like it might end the project for good. Instead, the team kept finding workarounds and kept pushing forward, and along the way the project quietly challenged a lot of assumptions about what's actually possible outside a manufacturer's own network. Even without a big update this time, the fact that the Veyron project is still moving is enough to keep people invested. What's interesting is how much closer it feels compared to where it started. The story was all about sourcing rare parts, fixing electrical gremlins, repairing crash damage, and clearing obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Now, people are actually starting to picture the finished car. The first time this whole saga can be talked about as a complete story instead of an ongoing rebuild. And when that day finally comes, I genuinely think it'll be one of the biggest moments in the channel's history, because whether you followed every single update or only caught a handful of videos, everyone understands just how hard this project has been. The same kind of shift is happening with Alex's Chiron. It's interesting how much the conversation around that car has evolved. At first, everyone was talking about the crash. Then everyone was debating whether it could even be repaired. Now the conversation has moved on to the Venom wide-body kit. Ever since that kit was announced, opinions have been split right down the middle. Some people think it looks incredible, others feel a Chiron should never be modified at all. And honestly, that's exactly why people can't look away. No matter which side you're on, everyone wants to see the finished result and find out whether it all comes together the way it's supposed to. With every update, that moment gets a little closer. What's interesting about the Chiron specifically is that the rebuild itself has almost taken a back seat to the transformation. Nobody's really asking whether the car can be fixed anymore. The question now is whether this bold new direction will actually win people over. And truthfully, nobody's going to know how they really feel about it until the finished car is finally revealed. Then there's the yellow GT3 RS, another project that's quietly made a ton of progress. When Matt first bought the car, the whole story was about engine problems and a warranty dispute. Today, that conversation looks completely different. The car has moved much closer to factory approval, and the list of remaining issues has gotten surprisingly short. A service light needed sorting, a rattle in the roll cage needed attention, and then there's the mileage dispute that's followed the car for years. The first two turned out to be fairly straightforward fixes. The mileage question is the bigger one. Matt's been clear that whatever happened before he owned the car, and he believes the current condition of the vehicle should matter more than something a previous owner may have done. Whether Porsche ultimately agrees is still up in the air. But the simple fact that a factory warranty is even back on the table shows just how far this project has come, and there's now a real possibility it could end in a way nobody expected a year ago. Looking back at the whole video, I don't think it was really about the sports court, the GT3 RS, or any single update. I think it was about progress, the kind that's easy to overlook when you're following along week by week, but becomes obvious the moment you step back and look at the bigger picture. A sports court replacing a forgotten horse arena. A GT3 RS edging closer to factory backing. A Chiron approaching one of the most anticipated reveals on YouTube. A Bugatti Veyron still working its way toward what could become one of the greatest comeback stories the channel has ever told. Not bad at all for a video a lot of people probably didn't even watch until after the World Cup final wrapped up. And if the last few years have taught us anything, it's that the biggest chapters of these stories tend to get saved for last. Put together, these projects show just how much can change when enough time, effort, and stubborn persistence get thrown at a problem. So let me know, what are you most excited to see finished? The completed Veyron, the Chiron reveal, or the final outcome of the GT3 RS warranty saga? And if you're enjoying these updates, make sure to subscribe, because there's a lot more still to come. The biggest Veyron moments are still ahead, the Chiron reveal keeps getting closer, and the GT3 RS story is far from finished. Something tells me the next few months are going to be very interesting.